welcome with us.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be back.
How was your day at Conventa?
Great as usual. It's one of my favorite events of the year.
You are the voice of Conventa since the day one.
Well, I've been a supporter since day one. I was a stranger to Slovenia until 2006 when I came over to try and sort a problem out with the Bureau when I was running the biggest of the shows. And then I realised what an undiscovered, beautiful secret not just Ljubljana is, but also the country, and I had no idea what a place it was. And then I discovered that the Bureau was planning a small tabletop exhibition with a few international buyers, and so I offered to support it through EIBTM at the time. And then I persuaded Miha not to call it Cymex, but to come up with a name all on its own that didn't associate with any other type of show, and Conventa was born. And I kept supporting Conventa because I thought visually it's probably the best looking trade event anywhere globally. I think it's that special visually, and the sustainable ideas of the apple crates with apples and all of that, really unique, truly unique, an overused word, but true. And then for 5 years I consulted on the show as an international consultant, and really it feels like home for me. And so I'm here this year just as a visitor and helping out on the Future Leaders Forum, but great to be back to see my Slovenian friends.
The 7th edition of Conventa calls itself New Europe. Where do you see potential of New Europe?
Well, this may sound controversial,
Yes.
okay? I'm not sure. The original concept was Southeast Europe as a way of accelerating recognition and demand for the region. And I thought that was really clever, conceptually clever, business clever. It's an interesting development to invite non-Southeastern European countries into the show and call it New Europe. And time will tell whether that works for the original grouping of countries who support the show so magnificently, but particularly the Ljubljana and the Slovenian supply chain, who are the beating heart of the show and must remain so. So time will tell. I wish it well. What is very important is that you don't grow the exhibition space faster than you grow the number of hosted buyers. It is a well-established formula that you must grow the attendance of the buyers really before you grow the exhibition space, and it's the secret of successful exhibitions. And I think one of the challenges is still, and it's very difficult, all shows face it, is how you persuade here all those Slovenians who work in companies and organisations that get involved in meetings to come to something like this, and that's still a challenge. And when we meet that challenge, you won't be able to move, which would be that would be fantastic. So it's lovely to see the likes of Slovakia here, and even Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan is the first time at Conventa.
Which is an interesting definition of Europe.
Yes. Azerbaijan is a part of New Europe, actually.
As well as
Yes.
officially being part of Asia.
Yeah.
And Baku is a wonderful place. I've actually been there and looked at the industry there. But I still think the major focus has to be keep bringing the buyers. Then you guarantee success.
It's personal. This is perhaps the shortest description about this year's Conventa. Why it's so important being personal in MICE industry, in meetings?
Well, first of all, meetings, incentives and conferences is not an FMCG. It's not a fast-moving consumer good. It's a luxury good. It involves a great deal of money being spent. So if you bring in a conference of 500, it's a bit more than buying a Lexus car or even a Rolls Royce. It's a lot more money than that. And the economic impact for a destination is very considerable. So there are, relatively speaking, high stakes. Interestingly, when people book a holiday, they don't go to the place first to inspect it before they book a holiday. So I've just booked to go to the Caribbean, to one of the islands I've never visited. I didn't visit the island to inspect it. And this is one of the differences between tourism and the business world of meetings and events. You would not book a destination, any destination, or a hotel, or a major venue without inspecting it first.
Exactly.
And that is when you understand whether the personnel, the staff, the team of that destination are frankly themselves sufficiently professional and competent to be able to deliver your event. And it's about the client's event, and they're all different, and they measure success differently. If you don't get face-to-face as a supplier, how can you possibly understand how that client is going to measure success? That's why you have to get face-to-face.
Meetings industry, it's all about passion, it's all about energy actually at the end of the day.
There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of passion, but I think it's all about business. People hold events because they want to be able to have a certain type of outcome. Many times that's a business outcome. Whether it's for an association, it's still the success of that body, so there's business concepts at work. And it's very important to channel passion, channel enthusiasm, channel energy into meeting what the client wants and not presume you know what the client wants. So when you get face-to-face as a supplier, you should spend most of your time listening, not speaking. Most meeting planners know what a hotel bedroom looks like. They don't need to be told. They know how to set a conference room up. That's not what they really are there to hear from the supplier. They want to hear from the supplier how they will help make a success of the client's events. And the really great suppliers spend their time listening to clients rather than speaking to clients.
Where do you see the next top destination in meetings industry?
In Europe, I think it's a region thing. I think most of the emerging destinations, which I still include Slovenia and Croatia and Montenegro and others in, I think there are two regions which will emerge as very strong. One is Southeast Europe, not New Europe, but Southeast Europe. And the other is the three Baltic states, because there is a great deal of infrastructure commitment in the Baltic states. There are two international convention centres being planned. Of the three countries, two are going to have world-class convention centres. There's investment in air routes. The hotel stock is improving faster than in Southeast Europe and was already better than many of the countries here. But I think those two regions will be the ones to see increased business from their non-traditional markets. So, for example, in the Baltics, Russia and Poland are key markets, but they're looking west now to Western Europe, the economic powerhouses of Western Europe, Germany, Benelux, Scandinavia, Britain, France. And I think those Western European countries that export so many business events of all types will look at places like Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia, and think there is sufficient degree of difference to try something new. And the reality is you're a new destination for at least 10 years. So Slovenia is still a new destination.
After 7 years of your working for Conventa, do you fall in love with Slovenia?
Oh, yeah. What is interesting, when I checked in at the Union Hotel on Monday, all the reception staff said, "Welcome back, Mr. Kenedy." I had no paperwork, they knew who I was. Everybody I've met has said, "Welcome home." It is a very beautiful country. There's simply no question about that. And for a small country the size of one of the provinces of Britain, for example, it's the size of Wales, with a small population, it has so much to offer. You can be in a Mediterranean climate at 9 o'clock in the morning.
You told me about your night walk.
Yeah. You can be walking into what I consider the safest capital city in Europe.
Priceless.
But it is priceless. And it's as safe for a single lady, a woman on her own in the evening as it is an old man like me. But
and Ljubljana, it's also future green capital of Europe.
Yeah, and it's a very clean city. Apart from the issues of sustainability and the green element, it's also an extraordinarily tidy city. There's no litter here. You walk in my capital city and there's litter everywhere. And you can see how the city is developing, the improvements on the sidewalks and the roads, even in the short time I've been coming. So and I love the rest of the country. I think for me Lake Bled is magical. I know many Slovenians prefer Bohinj because it's more rugged and
Yeah.
but for me, Bled is very romantic and soft and a great place to hold meetings too. And I love the coastline and I love the Alps and there's so much to choose from. And the forest, of course, is spectacular.
Of course.
For a small country, there's quite a lot to offer.
Paul Kenedy, thank you very much and warm welcome back in Slovenia anytime.
Thank you very much, and it is great to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, as ever, darling.